So when you're in this deep low and you're really depressed or whatever, if you can turn your thoughts to God, focus on His love, focus on His promises, sing praises, even though it doesn't seem like the right thing to do, it will lift your spirits up because your emotions will follow your thoughts. Good morning again. We are back in the Psalms. We should be able to get both Psalms 13 and 14 done today. One's only like 6 verses long, the other one's 7. So what's Psalms 13? It's Spurgeon referred to it as the howling psalm because several times there David's going, "How long, Lord? How long?" And you can almost hear it in his voice. He's kind of moaning or crying out to God because he's in this really low place. Well, let's jump into it and then so you can pick it apart a little bit. Psalm 13. This was titled, it's just titled for the director of music, A Psalm of David. So we know that David wrote it. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but that director of music, it could be like whoever's in charge of worship at the temple, or it could be a reference to God as the ultimate director of everything. That's so true. So we'll go ahead and read all 6 verses here. He starts off, verse 1. How long, Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts and day after day have sorrow in my heart? How long will my enemy triumph over me? Look on me and answer, Lord my God. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death. And my enemy will say, I have overcome him, and my foes will rejoice when I fall. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing praise, for he has been good to me. So back on verse 1. How long, Lord? And it says, it's 2 questions there. How long, Lord, and will you forget me forever? God has not forgotten David. But what's interesting about the psalm, it kind of flies in the face of the whole prosperity gospel thing. Because Christians do go through periods where we enter into depressions of some kind because something happens. Maybe a loved one passed away or something like that. And so we see that here in David. This was probably written when he was running from Saul. I want to kind of touch that for a little bit. If you go to 1 Samuel, chapter 18, and a lot of times our depressions can come after we've had a real high of some kind. We get this really incredible high from emotional or whatever's going on. A lot of times after that, we can hit into a really deep low. And I'm not talking about someone who's bipolar. This can happen to anybody. And we see a lot with movie stars and actors. They'll become super popular and they'll hit this real high. Then when their popularity fades a little bit, they go into this deep depression. They end up overdosing on drugs and stuff like that.
Yeah, it reminds me of we get our peace from God, but our happiness can come and go.
Right.
Right.
Your happiness depends on your happenstance, what's going on around you or with you. So verse 18, so David's just killed Goliath. He's like the hero of the Israelite community. He's on a high right now emotionally. I mean, everybody loves him. They're praising him. So chapter 18, starting verse 6. When the men were returning home after David had killed the Philistine, the women came out from the towns of Israel to meet King Saul, with singing and dancing with joyful songs, with timbrels and lyres. As they danced, they sang, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands. Now, they meant this to be like a compliment to these guys. But Saul takes serious offense to this. Saul is very prideful, and this hurts his pride. Saul was very angry. Saul was very angry. This refrain displeased him greatly. They have credited David with tens of thousands, he thought, but me with only thousands. What more can he get but the kingdom? And from that time on, Saul kept a close eye on David. The next day, an evil spirit from God came forcefully on Saul. He was prophesying in his house while David was playing the lyre, as the lyre is the instrument. David was not playing like somebody lies. Yeah. While David was playing the lyre, as he usually did, Saul had a spear in his hand, and he hurled it, saying to himself, "I'll pin David to the wall." But David eluded him twice. Saul was afraid of David because the Lord was with David, but had departed from Saul. So he sent David away from him and gave him a command over 1,000 men, and David led the troops in their campaigns. And everything he did, he had great success because the Lord was with him. So that's what started off this problem with Saul and David. So David has this really super high. Well, Saul's going to try multiple ways to get rid of David. David wants to marry one of his daughters. So Saul goes, "I'll let you marry her if you go out and kill 100 Philistines." So David goes out and kills 200 of them, brings back the proof.
He was supposed to die then?
Yeah, he was supposed to die. Saul kept trying to get the Philistines to kill him because the people loved David. And so he couldn't really kill him himself, even though he tried a couple times to do it himself too.
Why did the Lord leave Saul?
I would say probably pride and arrogance. There was a military campaign, and they were supposed to just like obliterated everything and not left anything alive. Animals, nothing. Well, Samuel comes back and he goes, "What is this you've done?" And Saul's all proud of himself. "Well, we wiped out everything." And Samuel goes, "Well, what's this bleating I'm hearing in my ears?" The sheep that were bellowing and stuff. So he goes, "Oh, we say that for a sacrifice."
Oh.
And Samuel goes, "No, you've disobeyed God, and God's going to pick someone else." So God goes and picks David.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So that creates some trouble between David and Saul. David won't touch Saul because David saw Saul as God's anointed. So even though Saul was trying to kill him, David would not try to hurt Saul.
Didn't Saul turn into Paul?
Different Saul.
Huh?
Different Saul.
Okie dokie.
So this Saul is the first king of Israel.
Okay.
The Saul in the New Testament was a rabbi teacher that became Paul.
Well, Saul tried to send David out to have him killed, and then later David would send out somebody to try to have them killed.
No.
Right? No.
Saul kept trying to send people after David, but David would never do anything to Saul, even though God delivered Saul right into David's hand. So the point is, though, David had reasons to be depressed because he's up on this high. He's actually married the princess, but then Saul, he's getting really upset with David, and so he starts actually trying to kill him, which puts David into exile. He's got to run for his life, and he lives in caves and hides out for basically 15 years. So when we get back to the Psalm, he's going, "How long, Lord?" We're talking 15 years into this. He's going, "How long must we deal with this?" So let's go back to Psalm 13. So I don't know if you noticed that, though, but he starts off kind of howling out in sorrow and just, "How long, Lord?" But by the end of the Psalm, his mind's turned around. His thoughts have turned around. So what happened there? One other thing I should probably touch on too in verse 3, he says, "Look on me and answer, Lord, my God. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death." You might say, like, sleep the sleep of death, something like that. It's kind of a play on words. They did use sleep as a euphemism for death. And a lot of times when it's dark, we get sleepy. It's just kind of in our nature. We sleep at night, right? So what he's saying is, give light to my eyes, but he's looking for a spiritual light. He's looking for God to awaken his heart. Otherwise, he's just going to give up and die, is what he's kind of getting at. In verse 5, I know I'm skipping a few things here. But verse 5, "But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation." So when you're in this deep low and you're really depressed or whatever, if you can turn your thoughts to God, focus on his love, focus on his promises, sing praises, even though it doesn't seem like the right thing to do, it will lift your spirits up because your emotions will follow your thoughts. In verse 6, "I will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to me." There's another way that I think the King James puts it. Linda, you got that in the King James verse 6?
I will sing unto the Lord because he has dealt bountifully with me.
Dealt bountifully, yeah. We don't see that a lot when we're looking at our own circumstances, especially if we're looking at other people around us. We should never do that. You should never compare yourself to other people. But we don't think that he's been dealing bountifully with us. But I tell you, if you were to go to one of these third world countries and see how people are living, you would realize how well you have it here, how good things are here.
I think also, like for me personally, if I wrote down like how many good days I had and then have a bad day, I think I would find out that I have way more good days, but these bad days just stick out.
Yeah,
You know?
and we tend to focus on them. There was before they even had memes, there was a poster, and it was this cute little puppy dog that says, "When I do good, no one remembers. When I do bad, no one forgets."
Right.
Well, we kind of do that to ourselves. We for some reason we tend to focus on the negative side. We need to stop doing that. We need to start focusing on the good stuff and letting the negative stuff kind of flow away.
Today's Bible verse is 1 Thessalonians 5:18. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. And it says give thanks in all circumstances. It doesn't say that you have to give thanks for the bad things. But it says even when the bad things are happening,
Look at the positive. Yeah, there's things. There was this old, I don't know if it was a poem or what. It had to have been from the 1800s. And it talks about the stuff that a woman had to do around the house. We're talking like taking the rugs out and beating them, right? And, doing your laundry by hand and just going through all these chores. Then in the very end it says, then sit on your porch and count your blessings.
Yeah.
Because we are so blessed. Even the people in the third world countries, they are in very blessed circumstances too. A lot of them are aware of the fact that they are closer to God because of their humble circumstances. They're actually praying for us Americans because of all of our wealth, and they see it as it's taking us away from God.